Hey guys, Jim here with another video for you. This is the second installment of my Shocktober series. This is Highway to Hell. But at the end of this video, if you like what you see, please consider giving me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe. Most importantly, leave comments below. Let me know how you feel about this series so far. Let me know about some of your favorite highway/car truck horror movies are. Now, yesterday I started this series with a TV special of some of the TV properties that were horror related, and today I decided I'm going to go in a different direction and tackle a genre of movies that I just call highway movies. They might have something to do with either like a stalker in a road or something supernatural, but they all have something to do with cars, trucks, or some sort of motorized vehicle. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to start from my Steven Spielberg collection, his movie debut, Duel, from 1971, starring Dennis Weaver. And this is more or less a prototype for Jaws, where Jaws is a semi-truck. This is more of a psychological thriller than a horror movie per se, and it was originally a TV film. However, it was so successful, they did recut it and release it overseas as a theatrical feature. And like I said, this was Steven Spielberg's calling card. This is what got him noticed in Hollywood and started his career. A couple of years after this, he would go on to make Jaws, of course. But Duel, even though it's a TV movie that is over 50 years old now, it still holds up. It is a great, great movie filled with suspense and a wonderful central performance from Dennis Weaver. So the first movie on this list is Steven Spielberg's Duel. Jump forward about 30 odd years and you have Joyride, which is almost like a spiritual sequel of sorts to Duel. This one stars Paul Walker, Steve Zahn, Lily Sobieski, and the voice of Ted Levine. Again, I don't know if you would necessarily call this a horror movie. It's more of a psychological suspense film, but it's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. I know this is not available on Blu-ray over in the UK presently, but I'm sure you could probably catch this streaming or on DVD somewhere. Joyride, great movie. And similar to those two films is Breakdown, with Kurt Russell, J.T. Walsh, and Kathleen Quinlan. Now again, I don't know if you would necessarily call this a horror movie. This is more of a suspense thriller, but it does have to do with a maniacal truck driver. And it's a great movie. This is one of Kurt Russell's most underrated films, in my opinion. And J.T. Walsh, in a career of performances playing assholes, he excels in this movie. He is so creepy and evil in this movie. I love Breakdown. Speaking of Kurt Russell, how about Death Proof? One half of Grindhouse, where Kurt Russell plays stuntman Mike, a psycho killer who likes killing women by using a car. Out of the two films in Death Proof, Planet Terror, the film from Robert Rodriguez, is definitely my favorite of the two, but Death Proof's great. It's a nice throwback to the old pardon the expression, grindhouse films of the 60s and 70s, and the stunt work's all practical. No CG in Death Proof. There is some in, a lot of it actually, in Planet Terror, but Grindhouse is a lot of fun. Death Proof definitely fits this bill. Now we're going to switch over to a couple of supernatural car thrillers. Let's start off with Stephen King's Christine, directed by John Carpenter, of course, based on the novel from Stephen King, and starring Keith Gordon, John Stockwell, Alexandra Paul, and the late, great Harry Dean Stanton and Robert Prosky. Robert Prosky is actually my favorite part of this movie. He's the guy that plays the man who owns the garage that Christina's stored at, and he's got some of the best lines in the whole movie. You know what, Peppa? You can't polish a toy. Love Christine. Great movie. speaking of Stephen King, his lone directorial movie, Cocaine the Movie. I'm sorry, I meant Maximum Overdrive. Goofy ass movie where all the vehicles and randomly other electrical devices come to life. No rhyme or reason to it whatsoever. This is based on the short story Trucks from the Night Shift collection. And again, the reason why I call this Cocaine the Movie is Stephen King was so wired on cocaine during the filming, he literally has very few memories of actually making this movie. And it shows. This movie's all over the place. I absolutely love it. But if we're going with supernatural car movies, we got to go with The Car from 1977. Starring James Brolin and Kathleen Lloyd and Ronnie Cox, among others. This movie's a lot of fun. This is Jaws, where Jaws is a car that just comes out of nowhere and starts running people over through the desert. Even goes across a football field during a Pee-wee football league and starts running over kids there too. I love The Car. This is great B-movie fun. And if we're talking about car accidents and car trucks and mayhem from vehicles, we have to go to Final Destination Collection, Final Destination 2. Final Destination 1 with the airplane is still my favorite Final Destination film. I think it's the best one. But Final Destination 2 is definitely the most fun, and it is definitely the most gory. And the car accident at the beginning with the logging truck, among other vehicles, is an all-timer. If you've never seen Final Destination 2, just watch that scene alone. It is so good 20-odd years later. Final Destination 2 rocks. Now we're going to go to some road trip movies. We're going to start off with Jeepers Creepers. Now, I know this is the double feature, but I'm talking more or less about the first one with Justin Long. And the writer-director of these movies is a total piece of shit, the guy out of Burn in Hell. But these two movies are still a lot of fun. They really are, especially the first one. The Creeper is just creepy, sorry. But this fits the bill correctly with these two kids being on a road trip by themselves, and strange things are afoot. Love Jeepers Creepers. And then we've got The Devil's Rejects by Rob Zombie. This is the follow-up to House of a Thousand Corpses, and the second in the Firefly trilogy. The third is Three from Hell. This is the only one of the three that I own, because I love this movie. I shouldn't. This movie is grimy. It's disgusting. It's really hard to watch in spots, but it's a great throwback to those types of movies. And again, you follow these three characters basically on the run from the law. And there is one scene in particular. Well, there's two scenes actually having to do with cars. The climactic shootout is great. But there is one scene in particular where one victim gets taken out by a truck, and you see the aftermath, and it's incredible. I love The Devil's Rejects. And then continuing that trend of road trip movies, we have California. Directed by Dominic Sena, and starring Brad Pitt, David Duchovny, and Juliette Lewis, among others. This movie is basically, hey, what would happen if you took a ride share with a psycho? Very effective movie. Very creepy movie. Brad Pitt gives a great performance. Very underrated. If you haven't seen California, check it out. Then we've got a couple of vacation movies. How about The Hills Have Eyes? Wes Craven's classic from 1977. Starring Dee Wallace and Michael Berryman, among others. Again, family goes on a vacation into the desert, comes across the wrong people. Don't love this movie, but I do respect it. I do like the remake, though, quite a bit. And then we've got The Vacation from Hell with Race with the Devil, starring Peter Fonda, Warren Oates, and Loretta Swit, among others. This one is directed by Jack Start, who played the deputy in Sorry, my camera is freezing out. He played the deputy in First Blood who gets taken out in a helicopter. Excellent, excellent movie about two couples that are on their little vacation and they witness a satanic murder and all hell breaks loose. Love, love, love Race with the Devil. And then we've got Road Games, directed by Richard Franklin and starring the wonderful Stacy Keach in a career best performance, in my opinion, and Jamie Lee Curtis. This takes place with a truck driver going across the Australian outback and starts noticing some interesting things going on with a van that he keeps coming across. And along the way, he picks up a hitchhiker, the lovely Jamie Lee Curtis. This is kind of like a takeoff of Rear Window set in a truck, and it makes sense. It's very Hitchcockian. The director, Richard Franklin, would go on to direct the excellent Psycho 2. And speaking of hitchhikers, how about Tobe Hooper's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre? This movie really begins when they pick up the wrong hitchhiker from the wrong family, and all hell breaks loose from that point on. I respect this movie more than I like it. I've never really been a huge fan of the franchise in general. However, like I said, I have the utmost respect for this revered classic. But we're going to end it on this one. The Hitcher, starring C. Thomas Howell, Rutger Hauer, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Jeffrey DeMunn, among others. Directed by Robert Harmon. The Hitcher is not only probably my favorite movie in this entire collection of films that I've highlighted, it's one of my favorite movies of the 80s. It is just such a great, great film. And it took years for it to get a proper Blu-ray 4K release. This is my release from Umbrella from Down Under in Australia, because America, as of the time of this video, still hasn't had an official release. However, after I bought this, Second Sight announced theirs, which just came out, and my good friend Carlos over at Eastwood for Life fan did an unboxing video of it, and it looks absolutely beautiful. But now here in the States, Sony is also releasing a 4K Blu-ray next week. I don't care. I love this version. I love this movie. If I could do it all over again, yes, I would have waited and gotten the Second Sight package. But as it is, The Hitcher is an incredible, incredible film. It contains C. Thomas Howell's best performance, in my opinion, and it definitely has one of Rutger Hauer's finest performances. This, Nighthawks, and Blade Runner are my three favorite Rutger Hauer performances. I think all three of them are terrific. All three of them are terrific movies, and he's fantastic in all of them. But The Hitcher, at the time when it came out, got a really bad rap from critics, especially Siskel and Ebert. They gave it 0 stars and said that it was one of the most violent, disgusting movies ever. There's barely a drop of blood in this movie. The scene that they were referencing about with Jennifer Jason Leigh, spoiler alert if you haven't seen The Hitcher, there's a scene in which the victim gets split in half between a truck and a trailer. And that is the scene in particular that they were bitching about the most. You do not see it happen. You don't even hear the sound of the body. All you hear is the truck, and you hear the kid yell, no. Like Scarface, it is hinted, but not shown. And by Scarface, I mean the chainsaw scene, because that got the same amount of hate when that came out a couple of years prior to this. The Hitcher has been remade. It also has a sequel. I have not seen the sequel. I did not like the remake, but the original Hitcher with Rutger Hauer is an all-time classic. And it's how we're going to end this video in this particular episode of Shocktober, Highway to Hell. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe. Most importantly, please leave those comments below. Let me know if there's any movies in this genre that I missed that are your favorites, and let me know how you feel about these films. And until the next time, we'll see you then.